Hi, and welcome to Coffee and Calacas. I'm your host, Joe, and I want to welcome any new listeners to this podcast where we sit around the coffee table, drink some coffee, and discuss stories of the supernatural, mysticism, and what else lies in the beyond. If this interests you, I hope you stick around and enjoy this week's episode. Thank you. Okay, so this week we're going to jump in and talk about the legend of La Chupacabra. And it's not so much a legend anymore as scientists say they have found the chupacabra. Kind of like a missing link. I would say it's a pretty well-known cryptid of sorts. I mean, I'm not even sure you can actually label it a cryptid. But I mean, I heard back about the chupacabra back, oh my gosh, I was doing like in the fourth grade. Um, might have been around like 97. Might have been sooner, might have been before that too, honestly. I just remember that I was sitting down during PE and it was a rainy day. And usually on rainy days, since at that time my school didn't have a gym, they would stick all the students in a classroom on, PE, during PE time on a rainy day. Um, and just kind of have us there watch a movie and whatnot. And I remember sitting down and I mean, I it had to be during PE because, I mean, what I don't recall there being another time for us to have gotten together the way we were, and I remember sitting on the floor, and I was in the back of the classroom, usually sat in the back away from everyone because I just don't wanna be in front of with people. I guess I was a little bit somewhat of a introvert, loner, I don't know, whatever you wanna call it, right? So I remember sitting down with some kids, and they were talking about La Chupacabra, and at that time, I wasn't really good with Spanish. Not that I'm any better with Spanish now, but, my Spanish has improved, and I can actually, hold up a conversation in Spanish. At that time, I knew a few phrases here and there, um, and I know they were talking, and I remember hearing the word chupacabra, and, I mean, being curious, I asked, "What is it?" And I know one of the kids had told me, it's a creature, and, they spotted it here and, it's gonna eat you and, really putting some fear in me. And I'll admit at that time, it did scare me, the thought of this creature coming, sucking up your blood, and then just taking off, and that, it didn't look like a vampire, was not on 2 legs, but it sucked your blood, so it was a vampire of sorts, and it was just kind of, I guess you could say creepy. And I remember just thinking, "Okay, well, what can I do?" Like, what will I do if this thing were to come? And I didn't have any pets at that time, so I thought, "Well, maybe we're safe because we don't have an animal, so it's not gonna come after the animal." But then I thought, "Maybe we need an animal so that way we can hear if it's outside or something." And it was just, it boggles me now how my mind thought that, this creature was gonna get me. And at that time, mind you, this is years ago, like I said, like 90, between 95 and 98, at that time, I think the chupacabra was barely coming into the light, with media. And, people didn't know what it was. They just know that their cattle was, or their livestock was being killed by something. And, the thought, okay, well, it's an unknown creature, and again, like I've mentioned in other episodes, the kids in my school would often like say, little legends, urban legends and stuff like that, they would talk about like, La Mano Pachona, they would talk about, Bloody Mary. And to me, I mean, I'm not saying I was a scared kid, but it would scare me. So I remember they were talking about that and they were saying, "Oh, vamos a la chupacabra," and well, I didn't know what it was, so it's like, "Oh, okay, it's something that can kill you. Okay, that's so scary. Um, stay away from the outside." So just like you have La Llorona, where it was told to kids, or it is told to kids to keep them from getting too close to the water, to keep them from wandering too far at night and having them back at home by the time the sun sets, um, it's something, to spark some fear in you. Um, and I remember thinking, "Oh, okay, well, um, this is something that's gonna get me, and I have to protect myself, and I mean, at that time, like, how do you protect yourself from an unknown creature, you know? Um, but nonetheless, it was something that did kind of frighten me and inspired today's episode. So the reason it inspired it was because as I'm going down the list of, different ideas that I have, what can I talk about? I thought, you know what? The chupacabra, nothing gets overlooked, but um it deserves a little bit of attention, it's something that a lot of people might not discuss because, well, it's it's kind of become like a running joke of sorts. And maybe it has, who knows. Poor Chupacabra, he's just trying to live his best life. But nonetheless, I said, you know what, Chupacabra needs some attention too. So um I thought, well, where did it come from? How did it get started? So, yeah, I did some digging. I mean, mind you, like I said, I remember when the chupacabra was coming into media, you know, being having like on Primer Impacto, like they would talk about it, and little news segments would say, okay, this is happening right now. This is what's going on with the chupacabra. And at the thought, okay, well, what is a chupacabra? Um, I remember hearing where it came from, but not too closely. It was okay, it was something in the back of my mind. So I said, "Well, where did it originate?" And from what I remember reading about, was that La Chupacabra originally, well, for those that may not speak Spanish, or may not be familiar with the term, La Chupacabra means goat sucker. I know, I know. It's like from all the things that you can name a creature, you know, goat sucker. I mean, but then you got Bigfoot, like just because he has big feet, like, geez, man, maybe Bigfoot doesn't want to be called Bigfoot. Maybe he wants to be called Ted, and just like maybe the chupacabra wants to be called, Gerardo. I mean, we don't know, but nonetheless, these are that is what it's called. Chupa means chupar, to suck, comes from that, and cabra means goat. The reason it was called a chupacabra was because, it would attack livestock, and this started, you know, um, the first reports of it came from Puerto Rico, okay, back in 1995, which is probably why I remember being, like, in the 3rd, 4th grade, and I wanna say it was the 4th grade when I heard about the story, Um, it's just kinda crazy, like, oh, wow, 95. Um, that was maybe what oh my gosh, what year are we in? 2005? 20, almost 25 years ago? My gosh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So a little over 20 years ago, La Chupacabra came to light. And if you think about it, well, it has to come from something, right? What is Chupacabra? I mean, now if you are a listener and a follower, if you're listening to this on Spotify, I insist that you go to our Instagram account and listen, and I mean, not listen, but check out the pictures I'm going to upload. If you are listening to this on or watching this on YouTube, I'm also insisting that you go and check out the pictures on Instagram. Honestly, you won't be disappointed. If and for those that want to know, our handle on Instagram is Calacas Pod. Okay. Um, Search for us, and I'll have some stuff on the stories and a couple of posts where I show you what a chupacabra is supposed to look like, or what is said it's supposed to look like. I don't know. In my mind, a chupacabra looks like one thing. I wish I could draw. I'm not very good artist. So I wish I could, like, what I picture chupacabra is not what is depicted on these pictures. Okay, I picture chupacabra kind of like a Wendigo. And if you don't know what a Wendigo is, don't look it up. That's an episode to come, and just wait for that. Just wait for that, and I'll show you pictures of a Wendigo. So okay, so think of it at the way I imagine it is a creature that's stands on two legs, kind of hunched over. Um, you know, yeah, a weird looking face. Kind of with some fangs and claws, and you know doesn't look like anything that we've depicted. Okay, But yet when you see the Chupacabra pictures, it looks like a dog, you know, uh, a dog of sorts. Yet people often said, and like I told you, I remember watching Primer Impacto, and people were saying, "Ay, sí, es porque estaba, yo sentada en el sillón y oí un ruido afuera y me levanté y chequé y estaba el chupacabras matando a mis gallinas." And they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And they pan over to the chickens, and all of them were just dead, and they would say they were drained of their blood. So what creature do we know drains of blood but a vampire? So I kind of imagine a vampire, a vampire-ish kind of creature. And why all of a sudden in 1995 does this creature pop up, Is it a creature that was being experimented on and it just got a little out of hand, escaped from a lab, and it just, you know? I mean, it's possible, maybe more than one. That's why, and then like I said, it started off in Puerto Rico, and then all of a sudden, it branched out, and you have some in Texas, and you have some in Mexico. It started branching out all over the place. Okay, so the chupacabra is what you would call a vampire of beasts. Okay, just because it does suck blood. Um, so like I said, the reason that they were being brought up was because, yeah, the livestock for a lot of people, ranchers and farmers and stuff was being you know, killed and attacked. So now don't think it was just attacking goats. No, it would also attack from what I researched here, it would attack goats, sheep, and other domestic animals, including chickens and cows. Okay. So if you had something like that, hey man, the chupacabra will come at you and just it's like, put your count at the house, okay, where it can't reach it. Um, so according to this, it says early reports described a creature that stood upright and resembled a large reptilian kangaroo with huge red eyes. So, yeah, that's kind of sort of what I remember, hearing about at first, that it looked like a kangaroo with big eyes, and I remember going into Matamoros, at one point, and there were, a lot of, I guess, like, art that people would draw, and it had a chupacabra that looked kind of like a lizard too. Um, it was weird. It was some weird times at that time, very weird times. So, as the years went on, people, actually, like, started spotting it in different places, started off in Puerto Rico, like I told you, it branched down to the Texas and to Mexico. And I think I even heard some reports all the way down to uh I'm not saying South America, Central America, maybe, at least that far. I'm not sure South America was one of them, but I know for sure there were some sightings of the chupacabra in at least Central America, at least, at least. Um, Now that I know of, there's sort of been a movie based off of it. It's called Species. Yes, the movie Species kind of has an was influenced by this creature, not straight on, but it was influenced by it. Um Let's see. What can I tell you that you don't know already that I haven't mentioned? So now when people talk about the chupacabra, they generally refer to it as a canine-looking creature, but hairless. So, I know people described it as having like the skin of an elephant, very thick, very coarse. Um, some people say it was like a mix between like a coyote and a dog, that it was just a hybrid of sorts, that it was an animal losing its hair, or was hairless because it had some sort of mange, and if it's it and because of that, that's why it was all hairless, and it attacked livestock because of the of some parasite that it had, that I guess kind of made it a little cuckoo, and it would attack, the prey. Now the thing is that when ranchers would describe this, none of them ever said that these creatures would drag the animal away. Now most of the time when you have an animal coming at your livestock, it drags your livestock away and drags it away from your farm. No, this thing would just feast on it wherever it was. If your goat is standing in the middle of its pen, the creature would go into the pen, feast on it, wouldn't drag it away, wouldn't, take it into the woods. No, it was just drain its blood and leave its carcass or leave its body there because it wasn't carcass, leave the body there. Wouldn't eat the actual meat of it. So, yeah, it was a vampire. Um, so it's made its way into popular culture now. There's creatures that are being depicted of it, low budget pictures now. Nothing too out of sorts. Okay. Now, like I said, I'll post pictures on our Instagram of what the chupacabra is supposed to look like, so you can have a better idea of what I'm talking about if you don't know what I'm talking about already. But yeah, it was a very strange creature, and for the most part, it was just it's just a big vampire. It just needs a little cuddle. Yeah, so that's what the chupacabra is. You know, it's just a blood-sucking, cryptid, and which I feel needs a little bit more love and attention. It's not often talked about, or and if it is, it's mostly mocked. And you know, poor Chupacabra isn't trying to be mocked. It just wants attention. But I wonder, where did it originally come from? Like what created it? I mean, and why all of a sudden, like in mid 90s, does it spring up in Puerto Rico? So I really do wonder. Was it a creature that escaped from a lab and just went rampant, or did it evolve from something else, or has it always been around and then just wasn't as widely publicized? These are things I wonder. If so, tell me what you think. Comment down below. Like and subscribe. And again, follow us on our social media. Go to galacaspod.com and check out our page there. I have links to all our social media accounts there. So check us out. Follow us on Instagram. Trust me, you'll get the most content from there. I do post there more often than anything else. So if you like this episode, like and subscribe. Keep supporting our channel. It helps keep this page alive, and I'll keep coming up with new stories, new thoughts, and new creatures to talk to you about, in future episodes. Like I said, I'm gonna try to update some stuff on Instagram. Keep watch there, and check out what is coming up in February. Okay. Have a good one, and I hope you like this episode. Thank you. Oh, and remember, life begins after coffee.